Next, I'd like to welcome back Thomas Schabarum. He is the recipient of the 2010 Creekwalker Poetry Prize. His poetry has appeared in Poet Lore, Crab Creek Review, Floating Bridge, Cathexis Northwest, and The Breakfast District, among others. He has published 3 novels, Airstreaming, The Palisades, and The Narrows, Miles Deep, a novella and stories, which was selected as a best book for 2011 for Lambda Literary. Tom Schabarum holds an MFA from the writing seminars at Bennington College, Vermont. He lives with his husband in Seattle, Washington. Welcome, Tom.
Well, thank you, and I really appreciate you helping us out with the reading or directing the reading, and I very much appreciate being able to read tonight. I want to read some poems from a series of poems called "See America," and I've got about 5 poems from that. They are drives that were taken by family members and then by me, and I will start now with Los Angeles to Niagara Falls, New York, 1947. Coming from fragrant rows of citrus, this small band of travelers, my sons, ache for a lost father in the fall. We're leaving. Buds have borne tiny fruit no bigger than my thumb, and I'm driving, away from what we lost, away from fetid fields and our trees of diminished dreams. The stacked wood can wait. Gardens will lay fallow. The gophers may run rampant over empty acres. And the boys of 46, one close to the bone of leaving, the other a bucket of bewilderment and need after I found my husband slumped to the floor, and 2 days later, he was gone. It's time to see America. We'll lead the angels of our city through California's heart, the swaggering heat, and my boys, arms sailing, bringing the wind inside, renewing the furnace of home into our old Chevrolet, riding high the highways to Niagara Falls, through desert and forest and long flat prairie stretches of farms with barley shoots and wheat, the endless stretch of sky and cirrus smoke above the coffee shops and roadhouses where we'll eat. Oh, boys, this last freedom summer lies before us. The ache of letting go in all these miles, songs over the airwaves, in truck drivers' faces, waitresses, farm girls, and women who carry their families aloft in their dreams, their needs, as their fingers touch the pulse of their lover's neck. Future fathers of boys becoming men through the underbelly south, salt marsh islands, Chesapeake, Williamsburg, our history encased in a marble city and along 95 to Independence Hall, the cracked bell, battlefields and turnpikes to the great granite canyons of New York. Ending at Niagara Falls, where lovers dream and families begin, we'll renew ourselves in water's tumbled mist. This is Los Angeles to Las Vegas, Nevada, 1958. It's the bird I'm thinking of, this thing of flight, as I'm driving my girl to Vegas. The one thing she wanted, its cage propped against the seat, wind whipping its feathers a few days ago in Playa del Rey, where we met blind. We're minutes away from marriage, and this white bird comes to mind, who lives inside a cage, while she takes my hand at the Chapel of the Bells. With this ring, I lift the latch, and the bird flies free. We will live our consequences, this thing in her belly, a seed that bird might have eaten as a blessing before taking flight. We will lick the wounds and secrets of youth's folly. We will drive home to the playa, and our feathers will be full. Los Angeles to Vancouver, BC, 1986. I could be like him, the man who left me, and I was for a while. Mad Max, the road warrior, and elation in my tracks. Between two lives, I packed a van with home supplies for the long drive to Canada. The world was gathering there, internationals, celebrities, regular folk like me who'd never seen anything north of our border. I did everything that humanly diminished me. I stood in the tall trees of Muir Woods, spread my arms out like Point Reyes seagulls against strong winds, and slouched beneath Morro Rock. I placed my hand on El Capitan. Its shadow decreased my light. In the dark night, I snuck men into my van and released them to their lives. I traveled the old highways up California, Oregon, and hunkered in darkness along 84's Columbia Gorge. A river is a thing to get lost in. Here, the boarded up businesses, stilt homes teetering over water, boats being beckoned back to sea. We were travelers, me and those treasures I collected. We were gaining stature. We were cheetahs. We were bears lumbering through the bush. We were children on bikes, smoking away from parents. We were drain dwellers under cities powering incandescents. We were corded nets gathering fish in our bellies. I crossed into Canada, Peace Arch in the rear view, smoke in the Bay of Blaine. Suddenly, everything was new. Carousels and pavilions, monorails and silver spheres. I was alone among thousands. Water was everywhere. People were tides moving in and out, swelling the exhibit's shores, then retreating. I wanted to talk, but back then I wasn't prone to it. I was tactile. My fingers were the flesh of every man I needed. The man at Point Reyes, in the dark Vancouver Park, a map of men along the blue highways. I said everything that diminished me. 90th and Lexington to Newark, New Jersey, 2011. In the hour before I leave, I meet a young man whose heart is as seared as mine has been these several years. We open each other up with everything we have, our lips, our eyes, our hands. After in the cab, he says he's Googled me. I've been opened up like a book, it seems, like so much information, my story spilling forward from this man who's researched the man he loved for just an hour. After our kiss in the cab, the Indian driver watching in the rear view at 44th discreetly turns. When my hour's love has gone, I ask the driver where he's from. Calcutta, he says. We talked of India's beauty, our families, the selfishness of Americans. I remember the love of Indians in 1981, the Taj Mahal's pre-dawn glow, the love of the Indian man with his wife, whose picture I took hours earlier, and his insistence that I be photographed as well, with his love, before a museum that housed the ghosts of artists, their work of grace's fleeting moments. Is this not the point to love, even for an hour, for 1/60th of a second, or on a cab ride, our lives speeding forward, creating love with a kiss, a picture, or a hug with a cab driver at departure's curb? The Final Drive, Seattle, Washington, 2015. It's time to show your cards, the red and black ones. Let's play car alphabet, and you tell me the letters that don't hurt. How A through Z each carry significance. A paper cut, a drip of water in silence that, as the years go by, shouts. Let's start with A and call it abuse, and then skip to C, that place where you told me to look when I was 7. Now to L, which was stolen from me, and on to M, that no man put asunder. I avoid F, it makes me tremble, and G for the way I am. to N since it's always there, and D for the light it brings. Across the highway is historical, so I claim the H as mine and write these poems. My new love shouts out, independence, and we both claim the I for us. But there is always a nag, wafting through the fog as I call out Z for the place I really want to be. And I wanted to finish with one poem that is brand new. I've been through this before. I've been through this before, self-quarantined 3 years following his positive news. The isolation was unbearable, white space empty during the aftermath of love. Particles in air floated, rolling grasses breathed and defined years between touch and sex, signatures in time, blue floating below the horizon. Everything was slow motion. I wrote the wounds then, pages filled with love's detritus, friends' lost lives were made sense of, dead before our skin sagged, hips failed, blurred vision, and deep lines. There were no shutdowns, no restaurants, bars, dark cinemas closing. We night creatures spread disease among us, oblivious to consequences, the dark stars. You went about your ways as we clung to early drugs, news of each other, diminished Rolodexes, bodies disfigured, the endless obituaries. We were to blame, they said, God in their bowels, for floods, hurricanes, and now this virus sprung from Earth's wasted vessels. We need the things we do to each other, especially now. Our hard-won marriages disparaged, our tangled bodies vilified, everyone on lockdown, food, spirit, and sexual supply lines cut, but for those who are locked together in homes, some no larger, no better than tents lining downtown streets. You are the ones to blame. We lovers offer up our bodies to a new wave, struggling for absolution. The earth does not care for us, nor how we love. It creates our violent storms, sentient days, oceans beat against rocks or eddy in our bays. This virus too shall be tamed until the next one, or the one that takes us all. When our mother wakes, her bad dreams over, ozone healing at the top of the world. Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your new work with us. Stay safe is right. Thank you.